Chapter 74-58. Young Master Li, there's no need to worry. These poisons are quite effective against your current cultivation level. Of course, if you need stronger poisons, as long as you can afford them, I can find them for you. Bailey Hongzhuang's expression was calm, but her words shocked Li Ruiyang. She could find all kinds of poisons. This meant that she must have an extremely powerful poison master behind her. A poison master. A poison master of this quality was enough to strike fear in others. In an instant, Bailey Hongzhuang became a person he couldn't afford to offend in his heart. If he offended her, she would be even more troublesome than Qing Jie. If young Master Li doesn't need them, I'll take my leave first. If you need them in the future, feel free to look for me. Bailey Hongzhuang stood up. She wasn't going to say anything else. However, just as she was about to leave, Li Ruiyang said, 10,000 blood spirit stones. Do you have a poison that can kill a second-rank immortal? Bailey Hongzhuang's footsteps paused slightly, and a confident smile appeared on her face. A bottle of poison appeared in her hand. The white liquid swayed in the glass bottle. It was colorless and odorless, just like ordinary water. There wasn't the slightest difference. This poison takes effect very quickly. Even a second-rank immortal wouldn't be able to detect it. After ingesting it, the effects will disappear very quickly. It's very difficult to detect the poison. Li Ruiyang looked at Bailey Hongzhuang in shock. He'd asked this question, but he hadn't expected her to have such a poison on her. He couldn't help but feel a chill in his heart. This meant that if she wanted to kill him with poison, it would be a simple matter. He consciously looked at the cup of tea Bailey Hongzhuang had poured for him. His heart broke out in a cold sweat. Bailey Hongzhuang could tell what Li Ruiyang was thinking. I never poison my friends. Young Master Li, don't worry. In the next second, Bailey Hongzhuang picked up the cup of tea and drained it in one gulp. Li Ruiyang was still a little nervous, but more than that, he was embarrassed. That's not what I meant. Bailey Hongzhuang waved her hand and did not take this matter to heart. If young Master Li needs to take it and the poison takes effect a day later, then we have it. Bailey Hongzhuang took out another bottle of poison and introduced it with a smile. Li Ruiyang looked at the 2 bottles of poison in front of him and felt that Bailey Hongzhuang was more and more unfathomable. When did such a powerful person appear? I'll take both bottles. Li Ruiyang handed the 20,000 blood spirit stones to Bailey Hongzhuang and took the 2 bottles of poison. Young Master, there won't be any problems with the efficacy of the medicine. Young Master Li, you can rest assured. As for me, I have always been tight-lipped. I will abide by these rules when doing business. Li Ruiyang nodded slightly and did not ask any more questions. Thank you very much. I should be the one thanking young Master Li. If the efficacy is good, come find me in the future. After exiting the restaurant, Bailey Hongzhuang and Linger quickly hid in an alley. Hongzhuang, he said that he wanted Qing Jie's life. Why didn't you agree? Killing Qing Jie shouldn't be difficult. Moreover, with the degree of hatred between the 2 sides, the price would definitely not be low. Although Qing Jie isn't a good person, we still have to rely on him to come to the Qing clan. Once he falls, Gong Jun's status will be affected. If we are assigned to other places, then all our preparations will be wasted. Rather than that, we might as well sell him some poison and let him do it himself. That way we'll have less risk. Besides, it won't be easy for him to poison Qing Jie. Qing Jie has been very cautious recently. He won't be able to find an opportunity. Chapter 74-59. I see. Ling understood. Hongzhuang, you've been very careful recently. There's no other way. There are too many experts in the immortal domain. We're too weak. If we offend any one of them, we might be wiped out. We have to be careful in everything we do. If we make one wrong move, we'll be doomed. Ling nodded slightly. Looking around, there were many second-grade and third-grade immortals on the street. As for the first-grade immortals, they were mostly young masters from the various major factions. Whenever they appeared, they would travel in groups. In comparison, they were far too weak. Noticing the sadness in Ling Er's eyes, Bailey Hongzhuang smiled. Beichen said that those who have just broken through without power or influence are mostly in the 4 great continents. They will only leave the 4 great continents when they have the strength to stand on their own. Therefore, we don't have to be affected by the current environment. If we go to the 4 great continents, we won't be the weakest. There was a first time for everything. All cultivators cultivated from the weakest to the strongest. They might be able to make a name for themselves in the immortal domain. When are we going to the legacy site? Ling Er couldn't help but ask. Her memories of what happened back then were a little messy. Recently, some fragments of happiness and pain would occasionally flash through her mind. They were intermittent, but she couldn't help but feel sad. She was almost certain that she must have done something wrong back then. Because of this, she was filled with endless regret. However, she wasn't sure what she had done wrong. Perhaps when she found out, she would blame herself and feel pain. However, this hazy feeling made her feel even more tormented. She should bear the consequences of what she had done. Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes narrowed. She suddenly realized that Ling Er's sadness might not be because of her strength, but because of the legacy site. She also had some vague guesses about what happened back then. Since we're already in the immortal domain, it won't be long before we go. Bailey Hongzhuang held Ling Er's hand. Everyone makes mistakes. No matter how painful the truth is, we have to look forward. Ling Er looked up. Her bright black eyes were like a lake, rippling with layers of ripples. I understand. For safety's sake, the 2 of them changed back into their original clothes and circled the alley a few times. After confirming that no one was following them, they returned to the Qing residence. 25,000 blood spirit stones. This was enough to completely save them from poverty. With these blood spirit stones, they could truly carry out their plan. The outside of the palace was almost turned into a hornet's nest. Bailey Hongzhuang looked at the effect and nodded with satisfaction. Judging from the power and range of the fluctuations, we have basically achieved the effect we wanted. Previously, she had only used a small number of blood spirit stones to test her judgment. Now that she had enough blood spirit stones, she could truly test it out. It's finally done. Shangguan Yingying shook her head and sighed. Using blood spirit stones as explosives. How wasteful. Hongzhuang, is the immortal domain really that rich? Xiren's eyes were filled with anticipation. Don't forget about us. When the time comes, you have to bring us out. He knew how difficult it was to earn high-grade blood spirit stones back then. He didn't expect that they would be able to take them out and play with them now. Chapter 7460. If you break through to the elementary immortal stage as soon as possible, won't you be able to leave openly? Bailey Hongzhuang raised an eyebrow. The cultivation environment in the immortal domain is not bad. It's much better than the immortal domain of chaos. If you guys stay here for too long, it'll be difficult for you to catch up. Xiren waved his hand. Anyway, the gap between Beichen and I has always been there. That guy is too much of a beast. He's so demonic that I've lost my confidence. Let's not talk about Beichen. I'm just afraid that Gong Jun will leave you in the dust. A sly glint flashed across Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes. She knew very well what could strike a chord in Xiren's heart. As expected, she hit the nail on the head. Xiren's expression changed instantly. He said seriously, "Don't worry. Yingying and I have been cultivating very hard recently. We'll be able to break through very soon." Shangguan Yingying secretly gave Bailey Hongzhuang a thumbs up. Hongzhuang was really getting better and better at reading people's minds. That hit was very accurate. It looked like she wouldn't have to whip Xiren to cultivate for a while. We'll head back first. Beichen and the others should be here by now. Don't forget to give us some resources when you rob the resource vault, Xiren hurriedly shouted. Inside the room. When Bailey Hongzhuang and Ling came out of the Chaos Ring, they saw that everyone was already waiting for them. However, Zhongli Mu and Yi Sun were not there. Where did Zhongli go? Zhongli Mu and Yi Sun went out together, Mo Yunjue said. Bailey Hongzhuang raised her eyebrows. She was still a little confused. Mo Yunjue continued, I think what Gong Jun said makes some sense. Even if Yi Sun is going through hardships with us, we can't guarantee that there won't be any accidents. Therefore, it's best not to let others know about these matters of life and death. Gong Jun looked at Mo Yunjue in surprise, then subconsciously looked at Di Beichen. His boss's love rival was really good to his sister-in-law. Even though there was no hope at all, he was still wholeheartedly thinking for his sister-in-law. Bailey Hongzhuang also didn't think too much about this point. Mo Yunjue's words made sense. To be safe, this was good for everyone. Linger and I have already tested the power of the explosive. The effect is achievable. She placed the explosives on the table. There are a total of 5 explosive points. These 5 explosives are ready. Di Beichen picked up the bomb and looked at it. He praised, very fast. Its power isn't bad either, Mo Yunjue said. In addition, I will prepare the knockout powder as soon as possible. Have you chosen the location? Yunju and I chose 2 locations each. According to our inspection over the past few days, we feel that these 4 locations are not bad. They are relatively hidden, and most people won't notice them. Once an explosion occurs, everyone will immediately rush over to check it out. As for the most important explosion center, we chose the location near the branch master's residence. That place is the most eye-catching, and the effect will definitely be extraordinary. Di Beichen's lips curved slightly. This location was undoubtedly the most important. He and Yunju had also put in a lot of effort. According to our thinking, it's best to wait until there are guests. Once an explosion occurs, they will definitely want to find out the cause immediately and calm everything down. This way, the chances of success will be higher. Mo Yunjue was very confident. This was the only way that the 4th-rank immortal in the resource warehouse would have the highest possibility of leaving. Bailey Hongzhuang nodded slightly. You're right. But are there any guests coming soon? Chapter 74-61. As soon as he said that, everyone looked at Gong Jun. Gong Jun was the one who understood this kind of thing the best. Gong Jun thought for a while and said, I heard that a guest will be coming in a few days. As for who the guest is, I don't know. However, I noticed that Qing Jie and the others seemed to value this guest very much. Previously, only his 2 confidants mentioned this matter, and I just happened to hear about it. As for the specific information, I'm not very clear. It's fine if you don't know. Presumably, it's not the day yet. When the day comes, there will be rumors. Di Beichen was not in a hurry. Qing Jie was considered a person with a high status in this branch. If an important guest came, Qing Jie would definitely know something. I will find out the news as soon as possible. Gong Jun patted his chest and said, Leave this small matter to me. Once we've confirmed which day it will be, we'll have to calculate the time and contact the flying magic tool we'll use to leave. Bailey Yenche said. Di Beichen lowered his eyes and said, In my opinion, it's best that we don't take the flying artifact directly. Otherwise, once we are discovered, we will be doomed. You mean to leave the city first? Yes, there are other cities around Liuxin City. As long as we leave the city, they won't be able to determine which direction we go. Even if Qing family is powerful enough, it won't be easy to find a needle in a haystack. Everyone nodded. This plan was undoubtedly safer, and it would be much more difficult for the other party to find them. Then I will take advantage of these days to study the route of departure to ensure that there won't be any other problems. Bai Liyenche said. The time to close the city gate, the route of departure, and how to hide, these questions had to be thought out first. The resource vault was stolen, this was a big matter. Qing family would definitely be furious, and the immortals of the branch might even come out in full force. At that time, it wouldn't just be Tier 1 or Tier 2 immortals looking for them. It might be a group of very powerful immortals. Although it seemed like there were many opportunities for them to escape, it wasn't an easy task. They couldn't afford to make any mistakes. Then I'll leave this matter to you and Linger. It's best if you go there personally and come up with 3 plans. We'll execute them according to the situation, D. Bachin said. I understand. By the way, have you thought about which continent we should go to after we leave this place? Bailey Hongzhuang asked. The 4 great continents were all suitable places for them to go. However, it was not long before they left. It was time for them to think about where to go. Sky Travel Continent. Sky Travel Continent. Bailey Yenche and D. Bachin answered in unison. Bailey Hongzhuang looked at the 2 of them in surprise. She didn't expect that the 2 of them had already discussed this. Why the Heaven Travel Continent? Linger asked curiously. I think the other 3 continents are not bad. Do you have any other reasons? There's no reason. I just feel that there's still a grudge that I haven't taken back then. Bailey Yenche narrowed his eyes. Since we said that we would take revenge, then we can't miss it. If those guys were in other continents, then so be it. But they're in one of the 4 great continents. Isn't this giving us a chance? Hearing this, Bailey Hongzhuang and the others immediately understood. Without a doubt, they were talking about the people who had dug them out of the abandoned immortal forest. It's been so long. I didn't expect you guys to still remember. Linger sighed. End of chapter. Chapter 74-62. Of course I remember. Back then, I almost died in the hands of these guys. If I don't take revenge, how can I live up to myself? Bailey Yenche's eyes flashed with coldness. He still remembered what happened back then very clearly. Xiao Xuanzi was also affected because of this incident. If not for that, Xiao Xuanzi and Xiao Hua would have been together long ago. How would they have wasted so much time? Bailey Hongzhuang and the rest looked at each other. Since there's such an important reason, let's go to the Sky Travel Continent. Everyone laughed lightly. The Sky Travel Continent was indeed a good place to go. The Sky Travel Continent was relatively close to the abandoned immortal forest. When they went to take revenge, they could even meet the seniors. In the next few days, Bailey Hongzhuang focused on developing the knockout drug. The longer the effect of the knockout drug, the better. Previously, she didn't have the time and immortal spirit herbs, so she didn't have the chance to study it properly. Now that she had the chance, she would give it a try. The Immortal Domain's alchemist ranking was different from the chaotic Immortal Domains. Granny Hua felt that she had stayed in the chaotic Immortal Domain for a long time, so she didn't say much about the Immortal Domain. Now that she was in the Immortal Domain, she had to put in some effort in this aspect. There were indeed more blood spirit stones in the Immortal Domain than in the outside world. However, the price of pills here was much higher. If one didn't have the ability, it would be very difficult to earn enough cultivation resources. What has Gong Jun been busy with recently? There's not even a shadow of him. Bailey Yenche was a little confused. I thought that this guy's speed of gathering information would be very fast. I didn't expect that there's still no news after so many days. I heard that Qingjie has been very busy recently. He even went to an auction. Bailey Hongzhuang said. Ever since the incident last time, Qingjie has been very careful. When he goes out, he brings almost everyone he can. Gong Jun has been following him these days. He didn't even have the chance to come back. I feel that if it wasn't for the enmity with the Qin clan, Gong Jun would have continued to mingle around here. In the future, he might really be able to climb up to a pretty good position. Linger laughed lightly. Di Beichen walked to the side and sat down. Qingjie is indeed very nervous recently. That guest may be more important than we thought, and Qingjie is related to this matter. Let's wait patiently. After following him for a few days, Gong Jun should have already inquired about this matter. As long as there is a chance, he will inform us immediately. Bailey Hongzhuang nodded slightly. Linger and Yen Che have already confirmed the route. Now there's only one route left. I think we can start the operation once that guest arrives. There's still no news from Qing Devil. I really want to sneak in directly and see if I can get the last secret key. Hearing this, Bailey Hongzhuang was also lost in thought. They were so close to the Qing clan this time. If they couldn't get the secret key back this time, it would take a lot of time for them to find it again. Don't worry too much about it. Qing Devil will definitely threaten us if necessary. Although the news that we went to the 4 great continents is hidden, it shouldn't be too difficult for Qing Devil to find us. At that time, we don't need to look for him. He will naturally come to us, Di Beichen said. Bailey Hongzhuang couldn't help but look at Di Beichen. For some reason, she felt that Di Beichen didn't care much about the secret key. Chapter 74-63. From the beginning until now, when Beichen mentioned this point, he didn't look too worried. However, she wasn't sure if this was an illusion or not. Maybe Beichen just hoped that everyone wouldn't be too anxious because of this. After waiting for another 3 days, Gong Jun ran to Di Beichen's house at night. He just explained the general situation and then quickly left. Gong Jun said that the other party will come to the branch in 3 days. Qing Jie and the others attach great importance to this matter. The other party is an array master, and his array skills are very good. With him joining, the strength of the branch will be stronger. Previously, Qing Jie participated in the auction in order to have enough chips to attract this array master. He said that the other party should appear at noon. At that time, the kitchen will be busy. We have to take advantage of that opportunity to act. Di Beichen explained the situation. The specific location happens to be in the banquet hall. It's very close to the place we chose. When the time comes, I will let Xiao Bai inform Gong Jun and take the opportunity to leave. Hearing this news, Bailey Hongzhuang and the others all breathed a sigh of relief. They had been waiting for this day for a long time. As long as they robbed the resource warehouse, they could leave here safely. Their days in the Qing family seemed to be very peaceful every day, but the pressure in their hearts was not small. Then we will act in 3 days. Now let's confirm if there are any other problems. Di Beichen said in a deep voice. Everyone nodded. In fact, they had already prepared everything. As long as there were no accidents, there wouldn't be any problems. After the operation, there are many times when the plan can't keep up with the changes. We can't guarantee that the situation will be as we think. If the other party's strength is too strong, everyone will sneak away and wait until we reach the Tianxing continent to meet again. Understood. They were quite experienced in this kind of thing. When everyone was about to leave, Bailey Hongzhuang noticed that Di Beichen had taken out a book and was reading it. She couldn't help but take a few steps closer. After reading the contents clearly, she said with some surprise, "This is a formation book?" Di Beichen smiled and nodded. "This is what Gong Jun gave me last night. The level of this book is quite high. The things written on it happen to be what I have been studying recently. It can be said that it will be of great help." He Shenjuan's array formation skills were very high, so he didn't introduce too many basic array formations. He needed Di Beichen to study them one by one. The grade of this array formation book wasn't low, but it was much simpler compared to Black Deity Jun's. With the 2 books combined, it would be much easier for him to understand. Gong Jun follows Qing Jie all day long. I didn't expect that he would be able to find an array formation book. It's really unexpected. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled. Gong Jun is really good to you. He doesn't forget you at all. Di Beichen thought for a moment and said, "He is indeed trustworthy." Sometimes, even he felt that Gong Jun's kindness to him was inexplicable. But after thinking about it carefully, he couldn't find any other reason. Perhaps they were destined to be good brothers. Even though this guy followed behind him like a follower all day long and called him boss, he had always treated Gong Jun as a brother. At first, he always felt that this guy was a burden, but he didn't expect him to be a good helper. The last time I saw old Lu, He said that your array formation skills are very good. If you work harder in this area, it will be of great help to you in the future. Chapter 74-64. Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes were filled with amazement. Actually, ever since she started learning about array techniques, she realized that Bei Chen was really talented in this area. At least, her talent in array techniques could not be compared to Bei Chen's at all. He seemed to be a natural array master. If other people were to read these two array techniques books, wanting to study them thoroughly would definitely not be easy. They might not even be able to understand them at all. But Bei Chen could. Perhaps this was talent. In the future, Bei Chen would definitely be a very powerful array master. I think array techniques are very interesting. Bei Chen's lips unconsciously curled upwards. I always feel that my brain already knows a lot of content. But once I start learning, it's as if my memory is recovering. Some of the complicated patterns become simpler. Recovering? Bailey Hongzhuang raised her eyebrows. I'm just making an analogy. Since you're talented in this area, you'll naturally improve by leaps and bounds. At the same time, Qing Jie's courtyard had turned into a pot of porridge. What the hell is going on? The array technique book was clearly still here last night. Why did it disappear today? Qing Jie roared in exasperation. Hurry up and find it for me. A bunch of useless things. You can't even read a book. Gong Jun and the rest were very anxious when they heard that the array technique book had disappeared. They all rushed over. Young Master Jie, we've been keeping watch in the courtyard all this time. No one else came. The bargaining chip that we used to attract the other party this time was this array technique book. In order to bid for this array technique book, we paid a hefty price. If we can't find the array technique book, then the other party won't accept our invitation. Then everything will be over. Qing Jie's expression was extremely unsightly. Such an important task had fallen on his shoulders. As long as he could complete this task well, then he would have made a contribution. However, if he failed, then the punishment he would receive would be, thinking of this, Qing Jie could only feel cold sweat forming on his back. No way. He absolutely could not let such a thing happen. Last night, he had been reading the book on formations. Because the value of the book was too high, he couldn't help but be curious after he returned from the auction. He opened the book and read it, wanting to know what was written in it that could be sold at such a high price. It was a pity that even though he had some understanding of formations, the content written here was simply too complicated. He couldn't understand it at all. At that time, he didn't know what happened, but he actually fell asleep just like that. When he opened his eyes again, the formation book had disappeared without a trace. Young Master Jie, may I know where you placed the formation book yesterday? Qing Jie's confidants were also very anxious. Yesterday, they clearly looked after the courtyard and made sure that no one had come. Moreover, the book was placed in Qing Jie's chaos ring. Once someone touched the ring, Qing Jie would be the first to discover it. From the looks of it, this matter did not make sense at all. Hearing this question, Qing Jie's expression was a little awkward. If everyone knew that he had been drugged, then wouldn't that be a joke? At this moment, Gong Jun couldn't help but say, Young Master Jie, for the other party to be able to make a move here, there must be a mole. Seeing that Gong Jun had changed the topic and avoided this question, Qing Jie heaved a sigh of relief and said, That's right, there must be a mole. Investigate properly. Seeing this, the two confidants were also very conflicted. There aren't many people in the courtyard, but there aren't few either. From what I see, it's best not to make a big fuss about this matter, in case the other party takes advantage of the chaos and leaves. Chapter 74-65. Qing Jie naturally understood the importance of the matter. You guys investigate carefully. You must not leak any information. This was such a big matter. If he could retrieve the formation book before the other party arrived, then everything could be treated as if nothing had happened. Otherwise, he was afraid that he would be done for immediately. We can find a random excuse. We can say that a thief broke in and Madame's necklace was lost. Then we can check everyone's storage rings. I'm sure no one will think of anything else. Gong Jun suggested. Qing Jie looked at Gong Jun with satisfaction. This fellow was indeed clever. He did things in an organized manner. Have you heard? Young Master Jie's courtyard was robbed. Madame lost a necklace. You believe that? The way I see it, it's definitely not a necklace. Who is young Master Jie? It's just a necklace. It's not enough for him to make such a big fuss. I heard that everyone in the courtyard has been checked, but young Master Jie is still in a rage. It seems that the situation is quite serious. There was no such thing as an airtight wall in the world. No matter how well Qing Jie and company hid, with such a big commotion, they were eventually noticed. Because they had checked everyone in the courtyard, but in the end, they still did not find the formation book. There's only one day left. If we still can't find it, then tomorrow. Qing Jie's face was pale. He had no way of thinking about the situation. He could not bear the consequences. Gong Jun hasn't returned these few days. I think the situation at Qing Jie's place is quite serious. But I don't know what was lost. Why is he making such a big fuss? Bailey Hongzhuang was puzzled. It must be something extremely important. If it wasn't, then Qing Jie would not even look for it. For Qing Jie to value it so much, it must be very valuable. I'm really curious. Linger smiled. I heard that Qing Jie seems to have lost a formation book. He went to the auction a while ago to bid for this book. But the other party is quite capable. To be able to steal it from under Qing Jie's nose. Qing Jie naturally would not say anything. That would be a great humiliation. Mo Yunjue said. Hearing this, Bailey Hongzhuang and Di Beichen were stunned. They looked at each other stiffly, and finally, their gazes landed on the formation book in Di Beichen's hands. Don't tell me it's this one? As soon as these words were spoken, the expressions of everyone in the room changed. This book? Gong Jun gave this formation book to me when he came back 2 days ago. I don't know where he got it from. Di Beichen said. Everyone's expression became very strange. Without a doubt, the thing that Qing Jie had been looking for was right in front of them. Gong Jun is really bold. He stole something that Qing Jie values so much. He won't be found out, right? Linger said worriedly. There were only so many people in the entire courtyard. If Gong Jun was found out, then it would be dangerous. Gong Jun is really taking too much of a risk this time. Bailey Hongzhuang also had a lingering fear in her heart. She had already drugged him once before, and Qingjie's vigilance was much higher than before. Now she was using the same trick again. Once they were discovered, it would be over. It shouldn't be a problem. Di Beichen narrowed his eyes. His eyes that were as deep as the sea also showed some worry. Since Qing Jie hasn't found him for so long, it means that Gong Jun has hidden very well and hasn't been noticed. Chapter 74-66. We can leave tomorrow. Although it's a little risky, it's not a bad idea. Mo Yunjue smiled faintly. This formation book must be very valuable. Di Beichen looked at the book in his hand. He had already read it, so he naturally knew how valuable the contents were. It was no wonder that Qing Jie valued it so much. Gong Jun really did something big this time. By Li Yanche sighed. He's really something. Everyone knew that Gong Jun must have seen Di Beichen's talent in formations, so he couldn't help but take the risk after seeing the formation book. Based on Gong Jun's personality, he had always cherished his life, so it was really not easy for him to do this. Qing Jie really let the wolf into the house. I wonder what kind of expression he'll have tomorrow when he finds out that we were the ones behind everything? Ling couldn't help but ask. Everyone looked at each other. Thinking about it, it would probably be a very sour feeling. At night, Qing Jie sat dejectedly on a chair. It was already so late, so there was probably no hope left. After such a long time, the other party had probably hidden the item well. Young Master Jie, since this person is a traitor, we should think carefully. Last time, you were poisoned, and this time, someone drugged you. I think these two people are very likely to be the same person. Qing Ting analyzed the situation seriously. Qing Man nodded. This kind of thing has never happened before. It's only started happening recently. Shouldn't we start from this aspect and take a look at the newcomers recently? Hearing this, Qing Jie frowned slightly. There haven't been many newcomers in the courtyard recently. But you're right. Nothing has ever happened before, but recently, things have been happening one after another. We really have to think carefully about what went wrong. Young Master, we have to find this traitor as soon as possible. Other than this incident this time, we don't know if other things will happen in the future. As long as we don't solve this problem, this crisis could appear at any time, and we won't be able to eat or sleep in peace. Qing Ting's expression was filled with worry. It seems that only 2 people have come to the courtyard recently. One of them was introduced by you. Why don't you go investigate and see if they have contacted anyone else recently, especially the Li family? See if they have any contact with the Li family. Qing Jie's gaze was sinister. He was almost certain that the Li family had something to do with his sore mouth last time. However, he didn't expect the Li clan to have the ability to plant someone by his side. Yes, Shushi will investigate immediately. Qing Man's expression was slightly unsightly. One of them was recommended by her, but she was sure that this person absolutely had no ill intentions. Young Master, other than the 2 newcomers in the courtyard, there is actually one more person, Qing Ting reminded him. Who else? Qing Jie raised his eyebrows and asked. Gong Jun. Qing Jie raised his head and looked at Qing Ting. His brows were tightly knitted together. Do you feel dissatisfied because I've been promoting Gong Jun very much recently? I wouldn't dare. Qing Ting hurriedly expressed his stance. However, the newcomer Gong Jun is also one of them. I feel that this inspection can't be missed. However, Qing Jie didn't care. How can Gong Jun be so capable? Moreover, he just came from another continent and has no contact with the Li family at all. Chapter 74-67. Every time there was a conflict with the Li family, Gong Jun would take the responsibility. On the other hand, Qing Ting and Qing Man had always stood behind him without saying anything. He did not believe that Gong Jun would make a move on him. Moreover, Gong Jun had always been dutiful. Without his summons, Gong Jun would never step into his house. Most importantly, with Gong Jun's cultivation, he really did not have much of a deterrent force. Among the people who followed him, the weakest was a rank 1. Only Gong Jun had not broken through to rank 1 yet. If Gong Jun had the ability to do so, then everyone in the courtyard would be useless. Qing Ting and Qing Man saw that Qing Jie did not have the slightest bit of suspicion towards Gong Jun. They felt a little helpless in their hearts. They did not know what kind of drug Gong Jun had used to make Qing Jie trust him so much. In the past, Qing Jie had always trusted the 2 of them the most. However, ever since Gong Jun came, their positions had been replaced. Now, when they talked about Gong Jun, it seemed like they were deliberately targeting him. The next day, Qing Jie went to see the branch head, Qing Heng, and resigned himself to telling him the whole story. Now that things had come to this, it was already impossible to cover it up. Instead of waiting for people to come and talk about it, it was better to say it first. Otherwise, Qing Heng's anger would be even more unbearable. What did you say? Qing Heng's voice was stern. Say it again. Qing Jie lowered his head, his expression full of guilt. Sir, it's all my fault. I didn't do a good job. Slap. Qing Heng slapped Qing Jie and sent him flying. The latter rolled on the ground. There was blood between his lips, but he did not dare to show any dissatisfaction. Sir, I didn't do a good job. I'm willing to be punished. Qing Heng's expression was extremely malicious. You should know how important it is for us to recruit a formation master. Once we fail to recruit one and this formation master goes to another force, the impact on us will be doubled. It took a lot of effort for us to invite a 4th grade array master. The other branches were all envious of him, but now that this matter is out, we will all become a joke. Qing Jie knelt on the ground, trembling. There's definitely a conspiracy behind this. Maybe it was done by other forces or even other branches. So what? Qing Heng threw the tea cup onto the ground. Is there any use in saying this now? As long as we can't recruit them, what's the point of finding out who did it? Milord, although the formation book is gone this time, it doesn't mean that he won't keep it. We can offer him great benefits. Maybe he will change his mind. A Tier 4 formation master can be said to be an honored guest in any power. Without any tangible benefits, do you think the other party will believe you just because you talk? Qing Jie was silent. He also understood that the persuasiveness of his words was a little too low. However, this was already their only hope. At this moment, Bailey Hongzhuang, Bai Li Yanche, and Ling were pacing back and forth near the resource warehouse. Looking at the sky, it was about time for them to meet. Once the explosion started, it would be time for them to take action. I hope that everything will go smoothly today. Ling Er's palms were already sweating. Their actions were tantamount to snatching food from the tiger's mouth. It was impossible for her not to be nervous. Don't worry, we have already prepared everything. Nothing will happen, Bai Li Yanche said. Ling nodded slightly. Now was the calm before the storm. Later, the entire Qing family would be like an ignited bomb. She only hoped that it would not affect them. Chapter 74-68. Outside the house, Gong Jun looked at the sky and unconsciously looked towards the direction where the explosives were buried. He had been following Qing Jie for the past few days and did not have the chance to leave. He could only wait for the explosives to explode and the surroundings to fall into chaos before he could take the opportunity to escape. Otherwise, once he left now, everyone would lock onto him. Thinking of Qing Jie's miserable appearance, he also felt some sympathy. This fellow was really stupid and unlucky. Inside the house, Qing Heng was receiving the array master who had just arrived while Qing Jie quietly stayed at one side. The redness and swelling on his face had already disappeared, and one could not tell how badly he had been taught a lesson. However, looking at Qing Heng trying his best to make the other party feel at ease, he also felt very uncomfortable. Such an important matter was obviously an opportunity for him to hold his head high, but he had messed it up. If he found out who did this, he would definitely grind that person's bones to dust. Sir, I've already understood these matters. Shouldn't we get to the main topic? The array master smiled. You should know that what I'm most interested in this time is that array book. As long as I can obtain that array book, I will have a great chance of advancing to a 5th grade array master. At that time, not only will it be beneficial to me, it will also be beneficial to the Qing family. Qing Heng's expression slightly paused before he said, At this auction, we did indeed bid for this array book. That's good. But there was an accident later on. The man was stunned. What accident happened? We will send the array book to you as soon as possible. I hope you can give us some time. Qing Heng did not tell him the ins and outs of the entire matter. This in itself was a very embarrassing matter. The man's interest instantly waned and the anticipation in his eyes completely disappeared. Sir, you should know that I came here for the array book. If I can't see it, I think there's no need for me to join the Qing family. I understand. Qing Heng nodded. We just need some time. If we can't find it, we naturally won't force it. That's good. The man raised his head. Although he did not directly reject, but from his attitude, one could tell that he already did not have any hope. When Qing Jie saw this scene, he unconsciously clenched his fist. This was all his fault. Meanwhile, Qing Ting walked over to Qing Jie's side and sent a voice transmission. We sent people to search the entire courtyard carefully, and we found this in the end. Qing Jie took the item that Qing Ting handed over. It was a transparent bottle. What is this? We've asked the pharmacist. It's said that there's a knockout drug inside. Qing Jie's expression changed. He had felt that it was abnormal for him to suddenly fall asleep. In other words, someone had drugged him, but he didn't know. Where did you find this bottle? I found it among the leaves in the yard. This seems to have Gong Jun's aura. Qing Jie's expression instantly turned extremely ugly. Even though Qing Ting and Qing Ting had warned him that there might be something wrong with Gong Jun, he had never truly believed them. This brat had always been very obedient by his side. He did not seem like someone who would do such a thing at all. But this bottle, there was no other explanation. Where is Gong Jun now? He's waiting in the outer courtyard. Find him immediately. Qing Jie stood up, his eyes full of sternness. Chapter 74-69. Qing Hing noticed the commotion on Qing Jie's side and asked, "What happened?" "Sir, we've found a clue." Qing Jie spoke and looked at the formation master. "Master, please give us some time. Perhaps I'll be able to find the formation book very soon." When the man heard this, he looked at Qing Jie in surprise. He had already given up hope, but now it seemed that the book's whereabouts had already been found. "All right, then I'll wait." The man sat down again. Qing Heng's expression became slightly better. As long as he could find the formation book, these little twists and turns were nothing. Qing Jie did not delay and quickly walked out of the house. His heart was already filled with anger. If all of this was really done by Gong Jun, he would definitely cut Gong Jun into pieces. Gong Jun was still waiting in the courtyard. The explosion should start soon, right? He did not know why, but he felt a little anxious about today's situation. Gong Jun. Suddenly, a roar sounded from the front. Gong Jun could not help but tremble and instinctively looked in the direction of the sound. He saw Qing Jie's face filled with anger, while Qing Ting and Qing Man quickly rushed towards him. "Young Master Jie, what's wrong?" Gong Jun had a flattering smile on his face, but his body unconsciously retreated. Looking at the other party's murderous look, even a fool would know that something must have gone wrong. However, he had handled the entire matter very well and did not leave any evidence behind. If not for that, Qing Jie and the others would not have been unable to find any clues after searching for so many days. So what was going on now? Qing Jie noticed Gong Jun's reaction and was unable to restrain his anger. If there was nothing strange, Gong Jun would not have retreated at all. "Capture him and bring him to me immediately." Qing Ting and Qing Man immediately flew over. Their eyes were cold and filled with hatred. Not only had this fellow stolen their limelight recently, he had even betrayed their young master. This was unforgivable. "Damn it, what should I do now?" Gong Jun wailed in his heart. If the explosion did not happen, he would be captured by these two fellows. Everyone around him glared angrily at him. It was impossible for him to escape from these people. Di Baichen and Mo Yunjue seemed to have heard Gong Jun's prayer. After he finished speaking, a shocking explosion suddenly rang out. Boom! An earth-shattering sound spread out, and the ground under their feet trembled. Boom, boom, boom. Following the first explosion, it was as if a chain reaction had started. One explosion after another continued to ring out. In an instant, the surrounding area was covered by a layer of dust, and at the same time, there were some screams. No one had expected this sudden explosion. Moreover, the range of the explosion was extremely terrifying. The cultivators who were affected by it were inevitably injured. Even Qing Jie and the others, who were bent on capturing Gong Jun, were shocked by the sudden explosion. They raised their eyes and looked up. Just what was going on? Qing Hing quickly walked out of the house and realized that the house in front of him had been blown up. "What's going on?" Qing Hing said to the man inside, and quickly rushed towards the direction of the explosion. Such a thing had never happened in the Qin clan for so many years. Who was so daring to blow up their branch? Seeing this, Qing Jie did not care about Gong Jun and quickly followed after him. Chapter 74-70. Qing Ting, keep an eye on Gong Jun. Wait for me to return. Yes, young master. Qing Ting and Qing Ting looked in the direction of the explosion. Such a huge commotion had never happened in the Qing clan before. Could it be the doing of an enemy clan? Almost all the cultivators in the branch were attracted by the explosion. Gong Jun took the opportunity to run outside while they were still in a daze. If he didn't run now, he wouldn't be able to escape later. My plan was flawless. How did they think of me? Gong Jun was puzzled. Such a small matter might be difficult for others, but to him, it wasn't a problem at all. With Qing Jie's trust in him, it was impossible for him to suspect him. Even if he did suspect him, he didn't have any evidence. But from Qing Jie's attitude just now, he definitely had evidence. This was strange, if it wasn't for the fact that he couldn't reveal his strength. He really wanted to ask Qing Jie what evidence he had. Xiao Bai saw that Gong Jun was still thinking about this at this moment and couldn't help but say, "Don't think about it. Since you did it, there must be a flaw. As long as we can leave here today, who cares what they found?" Gong Jun and Xiao Bai quickly left. Qing Ting and Qing Ting noticed that Gong Jun was running away and couldn't be bothered to watch the commotion. They quickly chased after him. As long as they could catch Gong Jun, it would be a great achievement. Bailey Hongzhuang and the others heard the explosion behind them, and their eyes lit up. They started to move. The three of them couldn't help but look up at the top of the resource warehouse. This fourth-grade immortal usually guarded upstairs. Such a huge commotion should have attracted his attention. When Qing Heng and Qing Jie arrived, they realized that the branch had suffered a lot of damage. There were a total of 5 explosion points, and they were all places that people usually passed by. Now that there were explosions, how many cultivators were injured? There were many bloodstains on the ground. Those who were lightly injured had already stood up. There were also many who were seriously injured and had fainted. Who the hell did this? Qing Jie's expression was extremely ugly. Could it be that because we invited a 4th-rank array master, they wanted to cause trouble like this? The power of this explosive is very unusual. Qing Heng looked at the traces of the explosion and the injuries of the cultivators who had fallen to the ground. When did an explosives expert come to Liuxin City? We didn't even have the slightest bit of news. Explosives were nothing to immortals. In the entire immortal realm, almost no one would use such a method. However, the explosives buried in their Qin clan were different. The explosive power of the explosives was extraordinary. It could even injure a rank 2 immortal. With such a wide area of effect, it was simply a powerful weapon. The might of this bomb is already comparable to the full-powered attack of a mid-level 2nd stage immortal. To think that it was buried in our Qin clan and we didn't even know about it. Qing Heng's expression was grim like water. If this spread out, it would simply be a joke. Most importantly, they couldn't be sure if there were other explosives buried on the ground. No one knew when these explosives would explode. If it were to explode, the casualties would be, when the other members of the Qin clan heard that the explosion was comparable to the full-powered attack of a mid-level 2nd stage immortal, they couldn't help but feel nervous. Many of them were still rank 1 or had just reached rank 2. If it were a normal person attacking them, they could still dodge. However, this kind of sudden explosion was hard to predict. Chapter 74-71. If this attack landed on a vital point, they would be finished. At least, that was how the unlucky rank 2 on the ground had lost his life. Everyone was in a state of panic. Everyone unconsciously looked at the ground beneath their feet. No one knew if there was an unknown danger here. After Qing Heng noticed everyone's panicked expression, he didn't panic. The explosives aren't buried very deep. Organize a few teams and inspect the ground to make sure there are no explosives. Yes. Qing Jie nodded and summoned the guards at the side. Search the entire area. As long as the others are fine, find them and come over. We'll move together. The area of the entire branch was not small. It would take a lot of time for a few teams to inspect the entire place. This would give the other party more time, so everyone had to act. Yes. Take the injured away for treatment first. Investigate the suspicious people who came in and out today. This is a malicious act. We have to find out what the other party's motive is. Qing Heng frowned. He did not think that the other party had carefully buried these explosives just to cause such a panic. There must be another reason. Before they could confirm this reason, they could not let down their guard. Bailey Hongzhuang and the other two saw that everyone around them had rushed to the site of the explosion. Their eyes were fixed on the resource warehouse. This guy can really sit still. After such a big commotion, I saw several places that were blown into deep pits, but there was no reaction at all here. Bai Liyan Che's brows furrowed. They did not have much time. If the other party did not come out, then all their efforts would be in vain. This can't go on. Ling Er's expression was ugly. They had spent a lot of blood spirit stones to do this. If they still could not do it, then they would be in trouble. It seems that we are still lacking a messenger. Bailey Hongzhuang narrowed her eyes. The next moment she suddenly slapped her chest. Blood instantly stained her clothes and her face turned pale. Hongzhuang, what are you doing? Linger and Bai Liyan Che were dumbfounded when they saw Bailey Hongzhuang suddenly injure herself. In a while, I'll go in first. You guys wait for the right moment. As soon as that rank 4 immortal leaves, you guys use the medicine. Do you understand? After giving her instructions, Bailey Hongzhuang hurriedly ran into the resource warehouse. Elder! The elders inside were worried when they heard the commotion outside. When they saw a bloody person running in, they immediately realized that the situation was not good. What's going on outside? Elder, there was an explosion outside. Many places were blasted apart. Many people died and were injured. It's a mess. It's said that this was done by the enemy. We still need to track down the person who caused the explosion. We hope that Elder can help us. Hearing this, the two elders' expressions changed. They had already felt how shocking the commotion outside was. With such a powerful explosion occurring in so many places, the impact was indeed great. With such a big thing happening, I'm afraid it's really a mess. It won't do if we can't find the culprit. However, we have to look after this resource warehouse. We can't leave at will. Anyway, the third elder is here. It shouldn't be a problem for the two of us to go and take a look. The other party was able to sneak in here and cause such destruction. I'm afraid they are not weak. Ordinary rank 1 and rank 2 immortals are no match for them. Chapter 74-72. Bailey Hongzhuang's face was deathly pale, but she couldn't help but look upstairs. What third elder? He was just too calm. She had already hurt herself to this extent, and she was even controlling her wounds to prevent them from healing. If this old man still didn't come out, then all her efforts would have been in vain. She didn't want the two third-rank immortals to leave. It was much harder to knock out a fourth-rank immortal than two third-rank immortals. Third elder, we'll go out and take a look. We'll have to trouble you here, said the older third-rank immortal. Bailey Hongzhuang couldn't help but say, the other party is probably very strong. You have to be careful when you go out. Hearing this, the two immortals nodded slightly and looked at Bailey Hongzhuang with satisfaction. This girl was not bad. However, Bailey Hongzhuang didn't think so. She had already said so much. If the third elder still didn't do anything, then there was nothing she could do. You two stay here. I'll go and see what's going on. A figure jumped down from upstairs. Bailey Hongzhuang only saw a back view before the other party disappeared. Even so, she could clearly sense how strong the other party was. The difference in strength between a fourth-rank immortal and a fourth-rank immortal was too great. There was no chance of fighting at all. It would be a complete suppression. After seeing the third elder leave, although the two immortals were still worried about the situation outside, they were slightly relieved. Bailey Hongzhuang saw the two immortals looking at her and immediately fainted. Girl! There's an injury near her heart. No wonder she fainted. It looks like she just advanced to the first-rank immortal. Let her rest at the side. Bai Lian-che and Bailey Hongzhuang heaved a sigh of relief when they saw the fourth-rank immortal leave. At the same time, they were full of admiration for Hongzhuang. Recently, she had spent more time with Gong Jun. Her ability to scare people had skyrocketed. Just like how Gong Jun had fooled Qingjie, Hongzhuang had easily fooled a level 4 expert. Hurry up! The two of them also understood the importance of this matter and immediately sprayed the knockout powder. Bailey Hongzhuang closed her eyes and pretended to be unconscious. However, she had been paying attention to the movements around her. She was counting down in her heart. She had some understanding of the effects of this medicine. It shouldn't be long before the two stewards collapsed. Now that everyone had been attracted by the explosion outside, there were only 2 stewards left in the entire resource warehouse. Bang! Bang! Bailey Hongzhuang opened her eyes and noticed that the 2 stewards had already fainted. She didn't care about anything else and immediately started to act. Move quickly! Bailey Hongzhuang and the other 2 quickly moved. Xiao Bai and Bailey Hongzhuang were also quickly putting the things in the resource warehouse into their storage rings. This fourth-rank immortal wouldn't be gone for too long. Although the explosion this time was huge, it didn't cause too much of an impact. The main thing was that there was some distance between the locations of the explosion. After that fourth-rank immortal went there, he would understand that the situation wasn't that serious and would probably return soon. Di Baichen and Mo Yunjue also rushed to the resource warehouse. After seeing that the 3 of them were already moving, they immediately joined the team. We only have 10 minutes at most. Leave 2 minutes to escape. We have to be fast. Bailey Hongzhuang reminded them. Everyone didn't have time to say anything else and put everything they saw into their storage rings. Chapter 74-73. Gong Jun ran forward at full speed. He wanted to reach the resource storage as soon as possible and leave with his boss. Unexpectedly, Qing Ting and Qing Man also used all their strength to chase after him. It was very difficult to shake them off. Gong Jun, these 2 are too fast. We can't go on like this. Xiao Bai looked at the 2 people who were closing in on them and couldn't help but exclaim. After hanging out with them for so long, I didn't realize that they were so fast. Gong Jun was confused. Could it be that I've been too focused on bragging and didn't pay attention to their strength? Xiao Bai was speechless. Master, are you sure you're not trying to trick me? Don't worry about it. Since you've been exposed, we can't go and look for Master and the others. Otherwise, not only will we be in danger, but Master and the others will be implicated as well. Then let's leave the Qing residence. Gong Jun understood that the situation was terrible. He had become the target of these 2 people. If they found out that they were robbing the resource storage, he didn't know what would happen. I'll lead the way. Let's get rid of these 2 people first and think of a way to get out of the city. Little White sighed. Fortunately, it had already figured out the route of departure clearly. As long as they left, it would be fine as long as they met up with everyone else. Qing Ting and Qing Man followed closely behind. Gong Jun's speed was also beyond their expectations. I didn't expect this fatty to run so fast. It's really beyond my expectations. Qing Man's expression was terrible. She thought that catching Gong Jun wouldn't be a problem at all. Now they were already running as fast as they could, but there was still a huge gap between them. No matter how hard she tried, she couldn't close the gap. Gong Jun must have planned this. He purposely hid beside Master for this. Qing Ting said in a low voice. Qing Man was confused. If he wanted to harm Master, he could have killed Master the first time he attacked. Why didn't he do that? Green Vine paused for a moment. Once we capture him, we'll know everything. The gate is right in front of us, let's leave quickly. When Xiao Bai saw the entrance of the Qing clan, he instantly heaved a sigh of relief. After leaving the Qing clan, it would be easier for him to escape. Stop them. This man is a thief. Green Vine shouted. I'll go. Xiao Bai's face turned pale and she hurriedly said, Gong Jun, think of something. The two guards in front of them were Tier 1 immortals. Given their strength, they were definitely not strong enough. If they were to be stopped by the other party, they would definitely be done for. Gong Jun couldn't help but shout, Be careful! There are explosives under our feet. The two men who were about to stop Gong Jun subconsciously looked at the ground when they heard this and quickly bounced away. The previous explosion was still fresh in their mind. Once that terrifying destructive power exploded under their feet, only death would await the two of them. I'm lying to you. While the two of them were still in a daze, Gong Jun had already successfully left the Qing clan. I didn't expect the Qing clan to be so gullible. They believed everything I said. Gong Jun laughed. When Qing Ting and Qing Man heard this, their faces turned ugly. This fellow was definitely asking for a beating. Was he purposely saying such things to provoke them? End of chapter. Chapter 74-74. Gong Jun, if we catch you, we'll definitely cut you into pieces, Qing Ting said angrily. Gong Jun didn't even look back as he ran forward at full speed. You might not even be able to catch me. Is the formation book with you? What nonsense are you spouting? I don't understand at all. Don't think that I don't know that you're the one who stole the formation book. You're just framing me because I'm new here, right? Gong Jun shouted loudly, and the people on both sides of the street heard him. Qing Ting's face was ashen. This guy really had a bad mouth. You're the one spouting nonsense. We've already found evidence. Then tell me, what evidence is it? We found a bottle of knockout powder. Your aura is on it. What bottle? I've never even heard of it. Gong Jun said mockingly, but there was a hint of darkness between his brows. Someone was actually plotting against him. I've always been loyal to young Master Jia, and I've made so many enemies. I've always been willing to work hard without complaint, and I've always treated you with sincerity. However, just because I'm valued by young Master Jia, you've targeted me time and time again. I've tolerated the things that happened to me in the past, but this time, you actually want to take my life. If I don't run, I'll die here. Everyone, be my witness. I'll put my words out here today. One day, I'll expose your true colors. Gong Jun shouted angrily, and his voice clearly traveled into the ears of everyone around him. Many people in the city had seen this fatty who swaggered around Qing Jia all day long. Compared to Qing Ting and Qing Man, Gong Jun had been much more prominent recently. They didn't expect that he would be pursued by Qing Jia's two trusted subordinates. This situation was indeed a little unclear. Everyone looked at Qing Ting and Qing Man suspiciously. The possibility of this happening wasn't small, because Qing Jia had indeed valued Gong Jun the most recently. In order to fight for status, it wasn't strange for him to do something like this. Furthermore, with Gong Jun's extremely embarrassed and angry appearance, the credibility of this story was greatly increased. For a moment, everyone looked at Qing Ting and Qing Man with a complicated expression. Qing Ting and Qing Man didn't expect Gong Jun to be so good at distorting the truth. In just a few words, he had spouted all the nonsense. Most importantly, don't you have a guilty conscience when you look so ashamed and indignant and Qing Man's accusation filled with blood and tears? Not only the onlookers, even they didn't think that he was acting. How could there be such a shameless person in this world? To reach. When Azure Demon woke up, Xiao Sou and the others immediately came to greet him. Their faces were full of joy, but there was a trace of worry in their eyes. What happened in the east? The east side was bombed. We don't know yet, but we've sent people to investigate. We should be able to find the culprit soon. The Malakian fiend frowned. What did the other party use? I heard it was explosives. An extremely laughable thought suddenly appeared in the Azure Fiend's head when he heard that. He felt that it was impossible as soon as he thought about it, but as he continued to think about it, he suddenly felt that it was not impossible. If all this was true, Qing Devil was about to stand up immediately. He had to go and have a look. End of chapter. Chapter 74-75. Qing Devil, what are you going to do? Seeing that Qing Devil was about to get up, Xiao So hurriedly said with concern, "You just woke up. The doctor said that you'd better rest first. It won't be too late for you to do other things after your body has completely adapted." "Yes, Master. Although the explosion in the east caused some casualties and losses, it didn't have a big impact. You don't have to worry about it." Qing Devil narrowed his eyes. This kind of thing has never happened in our Qing family for so many years. In Liuxin City, no one is good at making explosives. Xiao So, do you think of a person? Hearing this, Xiao Se Wu was stunned, and a graceful figure suddenly appeared in her mind. It was a face that made her incomparably disgusted. "You mean Bailey Hongzhuang? It's impossible." Xiao So hurriedly shook her head. "It's impossible for them to come here, let alone do such a thing." The distance between the crossing immortal domain and the immortal domain was very far. Besides, she felt that Bailey Hongzhuang and the others didn't have the guts to do so. Unless they were not afraid of death, they would come to the Qing family to make trouble. "Let's go and have a look first." Qing Devil's attitude was firm. He also felt that this kind of thing was unlikely to happen. However, from the beginning until now, Bailey Hongzhuang and the others had brought him a lot of surprises. These guys used to be like ants in his eyes. Now, even he had to pay attention to them. Di Bei Chen's contract beast, even now, still made him feel a lingering fear. That kind of strength was really too amazing. It was completely beyond his expectations. Maybe they came here because of that contract beast. "Master, they're coming back." Xiao He, who had been keeping watch outside, hurriedly reminded after noticing the approaching aura. As soon as the words came out, Bailey Hongzhuang and the others immediately stopped moving. Without the slightest bit of reluctance, they rushed outside without hesitation. "Run!" Behind them, the aura of the fourth stage was gradually approaching. The third elder returned to the resource warehouse very unhappily. He went out to check on the girl after seeing that she was seriously injured. The explosion did cause a lot of damage, but no one knew much about this sudden explosion. They didn't even have a suspect. As for other things, Qing Heng had already arranged everything properly. There was no need for him to do anything at all. It was easy to imagine how he felt after coming here in vain. The guy was talking nonsense. "When we find that girl, we must give her a good scolding," third elder said unhappily. That said, his face took on a ghastly expression as soon as he entered the resource depot. The first floor that was originally filled with cultivation resources had now completely disappeared. Not only had the cultivation resources disappeared, even the cupboards had disappeared. The entire first floor was empty. The only thing left were the two unconscious fellows on the ground. He walked a few steps closer to make sure that these two fellows were only unconscious and not dead. After that, he felt a little relieved. He spread his spiritual power upstairs and immediately flew into a rage. These fellows had almost emptied the entire resource vault. Those were the resources that they had stored for a long time in the eastern region. Now they were emptied. "Guards!" the third elder shouted. The nearby cultivators quickly rushed over. Chapter 74-76. When the cultivators who rushed over saw the situation in the resource vault, they were all dumbfounded. What did they just see? The resource vault had been emptied? Even if the third elder did not say anything, they already understood the current situation just by looking at the two unconscious stewards on the ground. It can't be? Who is so scary that they actually emptied the resource vault? Everyone lowered their voices and did not dare to say anything else. The third elder's face was already as black as the bottom of a pot. If they said anything more, they might directly anger the third elder. At that time, they would be the unlucky ones. Immediately go and lock all the doors. Don't let them leave. After the third elder gave his order, he quickly chased outside. From the aura in the surroundings, he sensed the aura of the woman who came to report earlier. Without a doubt, he had fallen for this woman's trick. As long as he caught this woman and her accomplice, then all the resources in the resource vault could be recovered. Otherwise, he would not be able to bear the consequences of the entire resource vault becoming like this. When Qing Heng and Qing Jie arrived and saw this scene, their expressions became extremely stiff. Previously, they did not know the purpose of these fellows' explosion. It was just to create chaos. This was too troublesome. Now, they finally understood that the explosion was just to hide. The other party's real goal was the resource vault. Why did the third elder leave? How could he not guard the resource vault? Qing Jie's face was pale. The matter of the formation book was already very troublesome. Now that the resource vault had become like this, if they could not catch the other party, then what would the eastern region use to compete with the other three tribes in the future? The resource vault was the accumulation of the eastern region for so many years. Once it disappeared, it meant that there was no possibility of competing in the future. When it rains, it pours. Qing Heng also found it somewhat difficult to accept. When did a group of thieves enter the eastern region? Qing Jie, does that Gong Jun have an accomplice? Qing Heng suddenly asked. Qing Jie was slightly stunned when he heard this, but he immediately understood. Gong Jun stole the formation book, and the resource vault was also robbed. If two groups of thieves appeared at the same time, then it was too much of a coincidence. Indeed, he didn't come alone. Go and find his accomplice immediately, Qing Heng ordered. I'll go right away. Qing Jie didn't dare to delay. When this thought appeared in his mind, he already had a bad premonition. If Gong Jun and his gang came here with impure intentions, then these two matters could very well have been done by them together. Thinking about how Gong Jun only knew how to flatter people, he simply couldn't associate such a person with the person who robbed the resource vault. That was simply eating a bear's heart and leopard's gall. Just as Qing Jie was about to leave, several figures appeared at the door. Qing Jie was stunned by the sudden appearance of the group of people. After seeing clearly who they were, he hurriedly saluted and said, "Lord Qing Devil." When Qing Heng heard this voice, he hurriedly turned his head and bowed. "My lord." "What happened?" Qing Devil asked in a low voice. Qing Heng didn't dare to hide anything, so he told Qing Devil everything that happened before. After hearing this, Qing Devil's face became gloomy. These people are really audacious. Xiao Shou also couldn't believe that someone robbed the resource vault. Chapter 74-77. The resource vault was the most important place for any faction. Once it was stolen, it would prove that the faction was useless from another perspective. The others all looked at Qing Devil. Qing Devil had just woken up and encountered such a thing. Would he be unable to bear it? "I'm sorry." Qing Heng knelt down with a pale face. If Qing Devil hadn't woken up, he might still have a chance to survive. But now Qing Jie was trembling and had to kneel down as well. He didn't dare to imagine what would happen next. However, Qing Devil wasn't in the mood to care about this at this moment. He rushed upstairs and looked at the wall with a gloomy face. Seeing this, Xiao Seiwu also followed up. When she saw the words written on the wall, her face turned extremely ugly. "To get some interest, I'll spare your lives for now. You'll come for it sooner or later." Xiao Shou couldn't believe it when she saw the name, Di Beichen, on the wall. Di Beichen and his men really had the guts to come to the Qing family? They not only blew up many buildings, but also left such arrogant words. They didn't take them seriously at all. Malakian Fiend's eyes were extremely sinister. When he heard the explosion earlier, he already felt that something was amiss. After arriving at the branch, he even sensed a familiar aura. Now that he looked at the signature, everything was clear to him. These guys, whom he regarded as ants, rushed to the branch of the Qing family, made a mess here, robbed the resource vault and left such words. It was no different from slapping him hard in the face. Qing devil. Xiao So looked at the tall figure in front of her worriedly. Then she said, "In fact, they don't have the ability. Otherwise, they would have rushed to our place directly. Now, they just ran away after making a mess here. They know that they are no match for us." "Shut up," Qing devil scolded. His gnashing voice could be heard downstairs. "Go after them. If they are alive, I want to see them. If they are dead, I want to see their bodies." Yes. Qing Heng and the others didn't dare to delay any longer. It was already good enough that Qing devil didn't kill them directly. As long as they could catch the culprit, they could redeem themselves by doing good deeds. Otherwise, they would be finished. "Sir, leave this matter to us. Since they have come to Liuxin City, we will not give them the chance to escape," Qing Yang said. "We can't let them get away," Qing devil said fiercely. "Catch them and you'll be rewarded. Don't worry, my lord. This subordinate will definitely not disappoint you. Everyone is at your disposal." Qing devil narrowed her eyes. A sharp light flashed across her eyes. It was fine before, but now they dared to come to his place and behave atrociously. If he let them run away just like that, then where would he put his face? Unfortunately, he had just woken up and was not in a good state. It was not suitable for him to show himself. If Di Baichen's demonic beast appeared again, he didn't know if he would be as lucky as last time to recover. However, he roughly figured out that although Di Baichen's contracted beast was powerful, it was under some kind of shackles that prevented it from attacking easily. If not, Di Baichen and the others wouldn't have to be so cautious this time. They could have just let the demonic beast come out and kill everyone. Chapter 74-78. Master, you're awake. A swaying figure exuding a seductive fragrance quickly rushed to the Azure Demon's side. The woman's skin was fair, and her black hair was like a waterfall. Her face was also beautiful. At this moment, she was looking at the Azure Demon pitifully. "I was so worried about you when you were in a coma these days." Qing devil noticed the woman and said with a faint smile, "I won't die so easily. Master, don't talk about death casually. I'm most afraid of hearing such things. I just want to see you safe and sound. That's my biggest wish." Qinglian glanced at Xiao So as she said, "I wanted to take good care of you, but I was ordered not to get close to you." Xiao So's face darkened. She had seen this woman when she first came to the Qing family. She was a pure seductress who emitted a demonic aura with every movement. She also heard that Qing devil always doted on Qinglian, which made her feel a strong sense of crisis. She had the same feeling as when she met Bailey Hongzhuang. Although this woman was not as beautiful as Bailey Hongzhuang, she was also outstanding. Moreover, Bailey Hongzhuang was not a flirtatious woman. No matter how unwilling she was to admit it, she had to admit that this woman was really popular with men. "Master, I was just too worried about you," Xiao So explained hurriedly. Qing devil waved his hand and didn't want to listen to her explanation. "Qinglian is my woman. You have no right to stop her. If this happens again, I won't spare you." Qinglian smiled slightly when she heard his words. Her eyes were full of complacency, but she still looked pitiful on the surface. This damned woman was so ordinary that she was not qualified to serve Master. However, she was so lucky that she gave birth to a child for Master. However, she would get rid of these two troubles one by one sooner or later. She could give birth to a child as well. Xiao So was stunned. She felt wronged. She didn't stop Qinglian too much. She only told her not to come close once. After that, Qinglian didn't come again. She thought that this woman knew how to appreciate favors, but she didn't expect that she was deliberately holding back in order to set a trap for her today. This was really amazing. "Master, it's one thing for you to leave behind that line of words, but why did you write the male master's name at the bottom?" Xiao He had noticed Bailey Hongzhuang's actions before she left. Although the Qing devil was still in a coma, he would hear about it sooner or later. He would definitely be furious when he found out that they were the culprit. This is mainly caused by Beichen. Bailey Hongzhuang chuckled. At best, she was just an accomplice. Upon hearing this, Bai Li Yanche and the others complained in their hearts. It was obviously you and Gong Jun who came up with the idea of robbing the resource warehouse first. Bailey Hongzhuang and the others didn't run far before they sensed that the level 4 immortal had caught up with them. Moreover, the level 4 immortal was faster than they thought. The distance between them was getting shorter and shorter. Level 4 immortal is indeed a level 4 immortal. The gap between their strength is too big. If this continues, that guy will catch up with us soon. Ling Er's face darkened. They would be caught up in less than 3 minutes. With their cultivations, they were no match for a level 4 immortal even if they joined forces. We have to think of a way. Chapter 74-79. There's still some distance to the city gate. Let's speed up to the maximum and rush out of the city gate first. Di Beichen said. Using his spiritual perception, he found that not only was the rank 4 immortal chasing after them, but there was also a series of violent auras behind them. If he was not mistaken, the entire Qing family should have been mobilized. Sure enough, touching the resource vault is like touching a hornet's nest. The cultivators of the Qing family all rushed out like a swarm of bees. Logically speaking, although this matter is big, it should only alarm one branch. But why do I feel that the aura doesn't seem like it? Xiao He was puzzled. After being in the branch for so long, he knew how many powerhouses there were. However, the aura behind them was not just that. Let alone them, even the third elder, who was chasing after them, was dumbfounded when he sensed the commotion. Robbing the resource warehouse was a big deal, but it shouldn't have alarmed all the other branches. Since when were the branches of the Qing clan so united? This was really hard for him to believe. You can't escape. If you kill yourselves now, you can leave a complete corpse. The third elder's voice sounded from behind, mixed with the aura of a rank 4 immortal. Under the influence of this aura, Bailey Hongzhuang and the others slowed down a little as if they were attracted by a gravitational force. Old man, don't give me that! Bai Li Yanche roared. The shocking roar of a beast resounded, and the rank 4 immortal aura actually showed signs of dissipating. Tian'er also let out a dragon's roar, and the aura of a dragon and a tiger intertwined, directly dissipating the rank 4 immortal aura. Boom! A shattering sound was heard, and everyone regained their original speed. After seeing this scene, the cultivators in Lu Xian City were dumbfounded. What happened to the Qing family? Just now, it was Qing Jie's people chasing after them, and now even the rank 4 immortals are mobilized? Looking at the movements behind them, I'm afraid it's not just the rank 4 immortals who are mobilized, but all of them. What did this group of little fellows do? They actually caused the entire Qing family to riot. Could it be that they robbed the resource vault? Haha. There were many forces in the Liuxin city, and the Qing clan itself was not very popular. Now that such a thing had happened, everyone was happy to see it. In short, if something happened to the other families, it was a good thing for them. Bang! As third elder got closer and closer to Bailey Hongzhuang and the others, he struck out with his palm. When he found out that the robbers were rank 1 martial artists, some of whom were not even rank 1, he was even more enraged. With such little strength, he actually dared to rob the Qing clan, and even succeeded in robbing them. This was simply a slap to his face. How could he still show his face? Out of the way! Noticing the danger behind him, Di Beichen shouted loudly. Everyone moved to the side, trying to avoid the fierce wind from the palm. However, the difference between a rank 4's strength and theirs was too great. Even if they had dodged at the first moment, they could not avoid it at all. Bailey Hongzhuang fell heavily to the ground. The clothes on her back were instantly covered in blood, and 2 of her ribs were broken. Third elder hated Bailey Hongzhuang the most. If it were not for her, the resource vault would not have been stolen, and he would not have committed such a big mistake. Ling and the others were also injured, but Bailey Hongzhuang was the most seriously injured, because the attack was mainly aimed at her. Chapter 7480. After Bailey Hongzhuang was struck to the ground, she did not care about the injuries on her body. She quickly stood up and continued to run forward. The strength of a rank 4 immortal was no joke. Ever since she broke through to rank 1, she understood that there was a huge difference in strength between each rank. Her opponent was an existence that could completely crush them. If she stopped, she would die. Hongzhuang, are you okay? Di Baichen shouted with concern. I'm fine, don't worry about me. Bailey Hongzhuang shouted, run! Scatter and run. They knew their final destination very well. Scatter and run would increase their chances of survival. Robbing a resource vault was like snatching food from a tiger's mouth. The only thing they did not expect was that the rank 4 immortal would return faster than they thought. Everyone understood how dangerous the situation was. Just one rank 4 immortal was already very difficult to deal with. They also felt that there were at least 2 rank 4 immortals behind them. If all 3 rank 4 immortals came, they would all be finished. In the next moment, everyone scattered and ran away. Di Baichen quickly approached Bailey Hongzhuang. Now that Hongzhuang was injured, her speed would definitely be reduced. Don't worry about me, I have my ways. Bailey Hongzhuang rejected Di Baichen's approach. She already understood that the other party had remembered her aura and was following her. Everyone would be in danger if they stayed with her. As long as they separated from her, the risk would be reduced significantly. She had the Chaos Ring. As long as she could think of a way to distance herself, she could find a way to hide in it. In the next moment, she took out a handful of pills and stuffed them into her mouth. Her body was quickly filled with energy. Her originally slowed speed quickly increased, and she rushed forward at full speed. Di Baichen also understood Bailey Hongzhuang's thoughts. After a moment of hesitation, he continued to run forward. If he insisted on doing so, he might even implicate Hongzhuang. Fortunately, Hongzhuang had plenty of medicinal pills on her, so she had a lot of life-saving methods. Don't think about fighting the enemy, the only way is to run. Mo Yunjue reminded everyone. The difference in strength was too great. Fighting head-on was no different from smashing an egg against a rock. Running away was the only way to survive. Once he slowed down, he would be done for. Gong Jun and Xiao Bai were relieved after they left the city. Qing Ting and Qing Man were quite a distance away from them, so they had yet to discover their location. Where do you think Boss and the others are now? Gong Jun looked at Xiao Bai and heaved a sigh of relief. After running for so long, he was covered in sweat. It had been a long time since he exercised like this. I don't know either. Xiao Bai shook her head. I think they should be arriving at the city gates soon. Should we go and take a look? The man and beast looked at each other and decided to go and take a look together. They were a team after all. Even if they had agreed on a meeting place, it was naturally better to move together. However, when they got close to the city gate, they felt a group of extremely terrifying auras approaching rapidly. That's right. Not just one. It was a group. And it was a large group. Holy shit, what are Boss and the others doing? Didn't they say they were going to move secretly? They're going to blow up the entire Qing residence. Gong Jun was dumbfounded. This aura was too terrifying. Instantly, his hair stood on end. Xiao Bai was also at a loss. Originally, she thought that they were already in danger when they were being chased. However, compared to the current situation, was that considered fleeing? End of chapter. Chapter 7481. It didn't count at all. Xiao Bai's lips twitched. Then, are we still going to meet up with them? Meet up my ass. Do you want to die so badly? Gong Jun rolled his eyes. Let's hurry up and run. What a joke. The entire Qing clan had turned out in full force. Although they were mainly hunting down Big Brother and the others, they wouldn't forget about him. Thinking about being hunted down by a group of 3rd and 4th stage immortals, the two of them, who hadn't even reached the first stage of the elementary celestial stage. Were they really a piece of cake? Run! Gong Jun immediately ran in another direction. Xiaobai didn't dare to delay. It was too scary. This scene Qing Jie was chasing Di Beichen and the others with Qing Heng. In the process, he suddenly saw a familiar chubby figure. His eyes narrowed. Was that Gong Jun? You guys keep saying that Gong Jun has disappeared. Is that him? Qing Jie looked at Qing Ting and Qing Ting beside him. He realized that he had really underestimated Gong Jun. Qing Ting and Qing Ting had worked together, but Gong Jun had actually managed to escape. It could be seen that Gong Jun had been pretending to be weak all along. Qing Ting and Qing Ting hurriedly turned around. Sure enough, wasn't the person fleeing towards the distance Gong Jun? Bring some people and capture him for me. Qing Jie's eyes were filled with anger. Now, he completely understood that this whole thing had happened because of him. If he hadn't recruited Gong Jun and the others, things wouldn't have turned out like this. He had recruited them just because they flattered him. Now, His Excellency still didn't know what was going on. Once he knew, he would definitely be finished. As long as he captured Gong Jun, he might still have a chance of survival. But if he couldn't, he felt that he had to think of a way to escape. Staying here was a dead end. Yes, young master. Green Vine and Green Vine called out to a few others and quickly rushed in the direction that Gong Jun had fled. Whenever they thought about how Gong Jun had managed to escape from their clutches, they felt embarrassed. Fortunately, they now had another chance. However, the moment they saw Gong Jun appear, they were certain that these guys must be in cahoot. Now, they must have shaken them off, so they came to rendezvous. However, they did not expect the situation here to be even worse, so they turned around and fled. If he missed this opportunity, he would never be able to find it again in the future. Gong Jun and Xiaobai rushed forward without looking back. When they sensed the familiar tracking aura behind them, they couldn't help but curse inwardly. It can't be? Qing Ting, Qing Man, why are you here again? Gong Jun was speechless. Why are the two of you like dogskin plasters that can't be shaken off? It's one thing for you to come, but you actually brought helpers. Isn't this too unethical? Hearing Gong Jun's words, Green Vine and Green Vine were completely speechless. How shameless could this guy be? Unethical? You're a guy who robbed the resource vault, and you still have the nerve to talk about unethical? Why don't you just go and die? Gong Jun, stop talking. Run faster. Xiaobai reminded. They were really in a lot of trouble now, but Gong Jun still had the mood to tease them. Don't worry, these two guys can't catch up to us. Didn't we just test it out? A smile appeared on Gong Jun's face. Qing Jie was truly foolish. Just now, Qing Ting and the other two were already unable to catch up. Now that he had sent the two of them, wouldn't they still be unable to catch up? No. Chapter 74-82. What do you mean? It's not just the two of them. Xiaobai shouted. There's a third-rank immortal as well. Gong Jun was stunned when he heard that. Only then did he notice that Qing Jie had sent another third-rank immortal after Qing Ting and the others. His face turned pale instantly. You can't do this. If you can't beat a first-rank immortal, you send a third-rank immortal. How can you be so shameless? Qing Ting's face turned red. Shameless? Who was the more shameless one here? He had lived for so many years, but he had never seen someone as shameless as Gong Jun before. We must catch him. Qing Ting's speed increased due to his anger. Gong Jun felt a chill in his heart. He couldn't care less about anything else. He took out some pills and stuffed them into his mouth. At the same time, he put Xiaobai into his pocket and rushed forward. Sister-in-law is still the best. She gave me so many pills. Today, I'm going to compete with a third-rank immortal. Xiaobai was speechless. Since you had pills, why didn't you use them earlier? Why did you cause us to be chased like that? I didn't think it was necessary to use them on these two guys. Pills are so expensive. We should save as much as we can. However, it's different now. We're in the third rank. Gong Jun's speed was at its peak. His voice also became sharper. Qing Ting and the others' faces were already as dark as the bottom of a pot. This guy had been slandering them all this time. Now, he was even mocking them. He didn't use the pills when he had them. He was obviously looking down on them. The third-rank immortal who was chasing after them felt much better after hearing this. Although this guy deserved a beating, what he said made sense. If they caught him, they would leave his corpse intact. The speed of a third-rank immortal was naturally much faster than that of a beginner immortal. He quickly overtook Qing Ting and Qing Ting. The distance between him and Gong Jun was also shrinking. Seeing that he was about to catch up, Gong Jun suddenly increased his speed. When Xiao He saw that Gong Jun's speed was comparable to that of a Tier 3 immortal, she was dumbfounded. Gong Jun, how did you achieve this speed? My master has always said that I'm a cultivation genius, but I'm not interested in that. The only thing I care about is my speed. After all, if I can't win, I still have to run. The more nervous I am, the faster my speed will be. Whether or not I can survive will depend on this speed. Gong Jun's face was flushed red. Clearly, he had pushed his speed to the limit. Xiao Bai could only hear the sound of the wind whistling past its ears. It suddenly remembered that its master had said that Gong Jun was the real genius. Only then did it completely believe it. This guy didn't usually cultivate, but he was still able to reach such a realm at such a speed. If he was wholeheartedly focused on cultivation, then his cultivation speed would be unimaginable. At that moment, Xiao Bai couldn't help but sigh. How could such a great talent appear in Gong Jun's sky? It was such a waste. The third-rank immortal didn't expect Gong Jun's speed to be so fast. Even a beginner immortal who specialized in speed wouldn't be able to reach such a speed when he unleashed his full strength. Even a third-rank immortal like him couldn't catch up. As for Qing Ting and Qing Ting, both of them were completely dumbfounded. Could it be that Gong Jun really didn't care about them before? This speed. Gong Jun was about to disappear from their eyes. Disappointment, disappointment. That fatty whom they had always looked down upon had actually left them in the dust. This was simply too humiliating. When the third-rank immortal saw that he couldn't catch up to Gong Jun, he was instantly enraged. If he couldn't even catch up to a beginner immortal, then he wouldn't be able to show his face in the future. Chapter 74-83. Bang! The rank 3 immortal's fist carried a sharp gust of wind as it flew towards Gong Jun. However, Gong Jun seemed to have eyes on the back of his head. He rolled on the ground and continued to charge forward. F***ck, it hurts! Gong Jun cried out in pain. However, he did not stop and continued to run forward. When the rank 3 immortal heard his screams, his lips twitched uncontrollably. He felt that this guy was simply mocking him. He did not manage to hit Gong Jun at all. However, this guy was still crying out in pain. Now, he finally understood how shameless this guy was. In his anger, the rank 3 immortal increased his speed. Gong Jun saw that the distance between them was getting shorter and shorter. He started to get anxious. Big brother, you are a rank 3 immortal. Do you have to go all out just to kill me, a mere beginner immortal? Gong Jun shouted. The rank 3 immortal was speechless. You know that I am a rank 3 immortal. If I don't go all out, I won't even be able to catch a mere beginner immortal. Xiao Bai realized that the rank 3 immortal was getting closer and closer to Gong Jun. She could not help but say, Gong Jun, speed up. Gong Jun took out another pill and swallowed it. His face was flushed red. I have already increased my speed to the maximum. I want to go faster but my body won't allow it. Then what should we do? Xiao Bai looked at the rank 3 immortal who was chasing them relentlessly. This guy seemed to have been provoked, and would not give up until he caught them. What else can we do? Let's see who can't run anymore. Gong Jun's face was miserable. He actually had to compete with a rank 3 immortal to see who would die of exhaustion first. It wasn't easy for me to gain some weight. This time, it's all gone. The rank 3 immortal almost vomited blood when he heard this. This guy was so fat and now he was actually feeling bad about losing his weight. Why don't you go and die? Just like that, the two of them continued to chase each other. Gong Jun had quietly deviated from the main group and was getting closer and closer to the other cities. Gong Jun's clothes were already drenched in sweat, and even the ends of his hair were wet. Gong Jun's speed had unknowingly slowed down. However, when Gong Jun slowed down, the rank 3 immortal's speed also slowed down. Although this guy's cultivation was strong, he was not like Gong Jun, who could take pills all the time. Big brother, let's discuss this. Why don't we just let it go? Gong Jun suggested as he panted. It's been so long. There's no point in taking me back. Think about it. Even if you capture me, how much reward can you get? Shut up. The rank 3 immortal said angrily. Gong Jun had no intention of stopping. You're really stubborn. Didn't I just rob the resource vault? How about this? I'll give you some cultivation resources and you let me go. What do you think? You definitely won't lose out on this deal. Hearing this, the rank 3 immortal paused. This was indeed a good suggestion. He had captured Gong Jun. For taking a leave of absence, this was something he should do. There was no reward. However, this guy had robbed the resource vault. If he could get some resources from this guy, the reward would be much better than capturing him. Seeing that there was no response from behind, Gong Jun knew that his suggestion had worked. He immediately heaved a sigh of relief. If you don't say anything, I'll take it as a yes. The rank 3 immortal still didn't reply. Let me tidy up and throw my Qianquan bag to you, Gong Jun said. Chapter 74-84. As Gong Jun ran, he tidied up his Qianquan bags. Xiao Bai wanted to say something but was stopped by Gong Jun. He shook his head and gestured for Xiao Bai to keep quiet. Xiao Bai didn't know what Gong Jun was up to, so he didn't say anything. Robbing the resource storage was something that Master and the others did. Gong Jun didn't even go to the resource storage. It was impossible for him to share the cultivation resources. In the next moment, Gong Jun threw 2 Qianquan bags to the left and right and then quickly fled. Big brother, I'll put the things in the Qianquan bags. When the third-rank immortal saw Gong Jun's actions, he couldn't help but sigh. What a sly old fox. The Qianquan bags thrown by a beginner celestial were naturally not closed. Moreover, they were thrown in 2 completely opposite directions. If he chased after Gong Jun, he wouldn't be able to get the 2 Qianquan bags. However, if he took the 2 Qianquan bags, Gong Jun would probably have run away without a trace. Most importantly, given how shameless this guy was, he didn't know if he was tricking him. Even so, the third-rank immortal still slowed down. The temptation of cultivation resources was too great. As a third-rank immortal, he still didn't have enough cultivation resources. He could only hope that this kid wasn't tricking him. When Gong Jun noticed that the aura behind him had disappeared, he immediately heaved a sigh of relief. However, he didn't slow down because of this. Instead, he sped up. Gong Jun, you lost 2 empty Qianquan bags? Xiao Bai asked. How could I be that kind of person? Gong Jun shook his head. Since I promised to share the cultivation resources with him, I naturally did. Hearing this, Xiao Bai looked at him suspiciously. Based on its understanding of Gong Jun, this guy was completely unkind. Could it be that it had misjudged Gong Jun? It just so happens that we don't need those mid-grade and low-grade blood spirit stones now. We'll just give them to him. He didn't run for so long in vain. Gong Jun sighed. I'm really too generous. Xiao Bai. I knew I didn't misjudge you. That guy will definitely fly into a rage when he sees the things inside. We have to take this opportunity to leave quickly. Otherwise, when he catches up to us, the 2 of us will really be done for. Gong Jun understood the situation very well. After being tricked time and time again, that guy was probably going to explode. After running for so long, we are about to reach another city. Since the city is so big, why don't we find a place to hide first? Looking at the city in front of them, Gong's heart decided. Although the Qing clan was a big power in Lu Xin City, it wasn't easy for them to extend their influence to other cities. Moreover, the powers in the immortal domain weren't simple. It was already good enough for them to have a base in a city. It was obviously impossible for a mere third-rank immortal to search the entire city to find them. Even if he really had the ability, they could just think of a way to escape. Xiao Bai agreed with this idea. After running for so long, it was really tiring. I wonder how Master and the others are doing. We're already in such a miserable state from being chased by a third-rank immortal. Master and the others are being chased by a group of third-rank and fourth-rank immortals. Xiao Bai's eyes were filled with worry. With so many people chasing after them, it was really too difficult to escape. Even with the Chaos Ring, it wasn't easy to find an opportunity to escape. Gong Jun sighed. His face was filled with worry. We might have really caused too much trouble this time. These guys are too exaggerated. We only robbed a resource storage, but they made it seem like we dug up their ancestral graves. Chapter 74-85. Looking at Gong Jun's innocent expression, Xiao Bai shook its head. This guy was really hard to explain. Boss is so powerful. He must have thought of a way to escape. Look, aren't you safe and sound? Gong Jun said. As long as Xiao Bai was not dead, it meant that boss was still alive. Should we think of a way to rescue them? Xiao Bai could not help but worry. It had only taken a glance from afar, and it had already sensed how dangerous it was. We don't even know which direction boss ran in. How can we rescue them? Gong Jun was a little helpless. Let's think of a way to completely hide from this third-rank immortal first, then think of a way to find them. Although they had used a little trick earlier, it was only a matter of minutes for a third-rank immortal. If they did not hurry and find a place to hide, both of them would be done for. Xiao Bai's expression turned serious. This was indeed the most important thing right now. Hurry and find a place to hide. Don't worry, leave it to me. After Gong Jun entered the city, he quickly ran inside. As he passed through the alley, he changed his clothes. However, when Xiao Bai noticed where he was heading, it could not help but ask, "Is this the legendary brothel?" Gong Jun looked proud. "That's right, it's a brothel. Are you crazy? What time is it now? Why are you running to a brothel?" Xiao Bai was speechless. This is the celestial region. Why would there be a brothel? As long as there is a need, there will definitely be a brothel. Gong Jun looked as if he was used to it. Whether it's the lower realm or the upper realm, the basics are still the same. This is not an excuse for you to run to a brothel. What excuse? Gong Jun patted Xiao Bai's head. You don't know. How did that third-rank immortal lock onto us? Aura, Xiao Bai said. Then that's it. Gong Jun spread out his hands. If we hide in the city, that guy can find us based on our aura. There's no point in hiding. Does it work in the brothel? Of course. Think about it, what do brothels usually do? Xiao Bai blushed. This kind of thing naturally can't be casually spied on by spiritual power, so every brothel has a very strong restriction. The opponent's spiritual power can't spread here at all. In other words, he can't find us. Hearing this, Xiao Bai finally understood. So there was actually such a thing. Gong Jun, I didn't expect you to know so much. Of course. I've been in the business world for so many years. How could I not know about this? Gong Jun pinched Xiao Bai's face. Don't just focus on cultivating all day. You have to understand these things. Xiao Bai agreed. It did make sense, at the same time, that third-rank immortal was also looking for Gong Jun everywhere. He had already crushed the low-grade and mid-grade blood spirit stones in his Qinkuan bag. It was no longer the Qing family's order. He had to kill Gong Jun. A mere elementary immortal dared to trick him like this. If he didn't kill him, he couldn't vent his anger at all. At the same time, Bailey Hongzhuang and the others were also running for their lives. Even though they had already thought of ways to split up and escape at the city gate, there were too many cultivators chasing after them. Even though they had split up, the group behind them was still shocking. Chapter 74-86. Bang! The flesh on Bailey Hongzhuang's back exploded and blood splattered everywhere. Her face turned even paler as she quickly gulped down the pills. She could not care about anything else at this moment. She took out all the heavenly treasures in her chaos ring and stuffed them into her mouth. The fourth-rank immortal was simply too powerful. Even if she tried her best, she could not shake him off. Furthermore, that guy would attack her from time to time. The range of his attacks was too wide and the power was shocking. She tried to dodge but realized that she could not. Every time, she would be injured. Under such circumstances, she simply stopped dodging. Once they caught up to her, only death would await her. Fortunately, she had robbed the resource warehouse and had quite a lot of resources on hand. Once she was injured, she quickly took out some heaven and earth treasures and stuffed them into her mouth. The effects of these things were quite good, and the injuries on her body would also heal a little. Even so, she knew that her condition was getting worse and worse. If this continued, she would not be able to keep her life. It had been so long and she had not been able to increase the distance between them. If it were not for the fact that she kept throwing explosives, he would have caught up to her a long time ago. "Master, we can't go on like this." Xiao He looked at the injuries on Bailey Hongzhuang's back. Her eyes were filled with pain. This guy was a beast. Bailey Hongzhuang did not speak. She also knew that this could not go on like this. However, she could not think of any other way. Other than running as fast as she could, there was nothing else she could do. The fourth-rank immortal who was chasing after her was equally frustrated. He did not know why, but this person who had robbed the resource vault seemed to specialize in speed. She was only a first-rank immortal, but her speed was comparable to a fourth-rank immortal. Could it be that these people specialize in cultivating speed so that they could rob the resource vaults of various families? He felt that this must be the case. Otherwise, why would anyone specialize in cultivating speed? He had already severely injured the girl several times. However, the girl was like a cockroach that could not be killed. Her speed had always been good, but because of her injuries, her speed had never slowed down. However, he also noticed that the girl was stuffing food into her mouth as she ran. Even if he couldn't see it, he was sure that it was a natural treasure from the resource vault based on the energy that was leaking out. This girl actually used something from the resource vault to heal herself. This was simply a provocation to him. Lord Qing Devil said that he doesn't want anyone alive. He only wants dead bodies. At this moment, a voice suddenly sounded from behind, clearly entering everyone's ears. Hearing those words, the eyes of the Qing clan's members turned sharp. Originally, they thought that if they wanted to capture him alive, they would have to spend quite a bit of effort. But since there was no need to capture him alive, it would be much easier. They could just directly attack him and turn him into a pile of minced meat, and the mission would be completed. Qing Devil is awake? Bailey Hongzhuang was slightly stunned and frowned. She didn't expect that things would be so coincidental that the Qing Devil would wake up at the same time as their operation today. I think Qing Devil must have seen our signatures. Now he's so angry that he wants to kill us. Xiao Hei's eyes were cold. It doesn't make sense that this guy is still alive. At this moment, Bailey Hongzhuang understood everything. It's no wonder that not only the people from the east but also the people from the other branches are chasing after us. This must be the order of Qing Devil. Otherwise, with the competition among the 4 branches, it would be good enough if they didn't laugh at us. They would never come to help us. Chapter 74-87. This Qing Devil is destined to be our enemy. Even her awakening is such a coincidence. Xiao Hei was also speechless. When it noticed that the 4th-rank immortal was about to attack again, It immediately enlarged its body and stood behind Bailey Hongzhuang. Master, be careful. Bang! The attack landed on Xiao Hei's body. It immediately spat out a mouthful of blood, and its back was also covered in blood. Xiao Hei, are you all right? Bailey Hongzhuang asked anxiously. Master, I'm fine. Xiao Hei shook its head. I can still help you take a few hits. After one attack after another, Bailey Hongzhuang's ribs were already broken 7 or 8 times. Her internal organs were all damaged, and the skin on her back was almost completely gone. One could even see the eerie white bones. If it didn't help, its master would probably lose her life here. Seeing Xiao Hei's weak state, Bailey Hongzhuang couldn't help but feel anxious. We can't go on like this. Bailey Hongzhuang narrowed her eyes. She had already made up her mind. Aren't these guys chasing us so desperately for cultivation resources? I'll just return them to them. The next moment, Bailey Hongzhuang shouted, I don't want the cultivation resources anymore. I'll return them to you. When the people behind heard this, they couldn't help but feel happy. The resources in the resource vault were very precious. They had to get them back. However, the 4th-rank immortal ignored them. You've robbed the resource vault. You'll definitely die today. Even if you hand over the cultivation resources, you'll still have to die. Bailey Hongzhuang chuckled. Let's see if you can do it. She had been running for so long that she had already left many cultivators behind. Now, the ones following her were mainly a 4th-rank immortal and 2 3rd-rank immortals. One after another, Bailey Hongzhuang took out the cultivation resources and threw them back and forth. Seeing this, the 4th-rank immortal ordered the 2 immortals, collect all these resources. Hearing this, the 2 immortals nodded. This was a good job. Don't embezzle them. If you're caught, you'll be severely punished. The 4th-rank immortal warned again. The 2 immortals rolled their eyes but didn't say anything. They were too weak and could only listen to the 3rd elder's orders. The 2 immortals watched as the treasures fell one after another. They quickly caught them and put them into their qiankuan bags. Bailey Hongzhuang handed the items to Xiao Hei and ran. Xiao Hei understood Bailey Hongzhuang's intention to throw some resources, and threw them. Xiao Hei to Bailey Hongzhuang. At first, the 2 3rd-rank immortals were worried that there would be an explosion here, so they were very careful. However, after receiving a lot of cultivation resources and seeing that there were no problems, they relaxed. 2. Bang! 2 shocking explosions rang out, followed by 2 blood-curdling screams. The 3rd elder's speed came to a halt. He realized that the 2 3rd-rank immortals had been seriously injured. Although their lives weren't in danger, it was impossible for them to continue chasing. 2 pieces of trash. The 3rd elder scolded. He was flustered and exasperated. Usually, he thought that these 3rd-rank immortals were not bad. He didn't expect that 2 of them would be knocked out by drugs and now 2 more would be knocked out by the explosion. They were all trash. Xiao Hei looked at the results of her battle and smiled. Master, how did I do? End of chapter. Chapter 74-88. Great! Bailey Hongzhuang's lips curled up. Her face was pale, but her spirit was not affected. Her eyes were bright. Now there's only this old fellow left. But this old fellow is really hard to deal with. Xiao Hei regained her composure after a short moment of satisfaction. Getting rid of these 2 fellows was indeed less troublesome, but there was still one more troublesome fellow. This person was the 3rd elder of the Qing family. He was very experienced and would not be easily fooled. It would be extremely difficult to shake this fellow off. They had already used all the methods they could think of, and they could not think of any other methods in such a short period of time. Old fellow, it's not that I want to say this, but your Qing family is really full of trash. Bailey Hongzhuang mocked mercilessly. Which, don't be so happy too early. The 3rd elder was furious. Once you fall into my hands, you won't have the chance to escape. Let's catch up first. Bailey Hongzhuang also didn't pay any attention to him. She ate the heavenly treasures even faster. Master, we've used up all the explosives, Xiao He said worriedly. They had some leftover explosives from before, but under such consumption, they were completely out. They were out of ammunition and food, and there was really no other way now. It's fine. Bailey Hongzhuang did not think about it anymore. Even if we all die here today, we definitely won't let this old fellow have it easy. Bailey Hongzhuang took out a blood spirit stone, filled it with essence power, and threw it behind her. Boom! The blood spirit stone exploded in midair, and Bailey Hongzhuang was also sent flying by the impact of the energy. At the same time, the third elder was also affected by the explosion. His body had a few more wounds, and his speed slowed down. Seeing that this method was effective, Bailey Hongzhuang made up her mind and exploded the blood spirit stone again. Poochie! Bailey Hongzhuang spat out another mouthful of blood. Her internal organs were burning with pain. In fact, she was already numb to the pain. The third elder was also shocked by Bailey Hongzhuang's reckless actions. Was this woman crazy? Even though he had slowed her down, if this continued, this woman would lose her life without him even needing to do anything. The third elder wasn't anxious about this. He wanted to see how long this woman could last. With the difference in strength between the two sides, the outcome was already set. Boom! Xiao He looked at Bailey Hongzhuang, whose expression was becoming more and more unsightly. She could not help but say, "Master, if this continues, you will die. If he catches you, you'll still die." Xiao He was powerless. It understood that its master was right. What they were doing now could only buy time. Otherwise, they would be caught immediately. Even so, they could not hold on for long. At that time, the result would be the same. As Bailey Hongzhuang continued to make explosions one after another, the distance between the two sides had also increased. Boom! When Bailey Hongzhuang exploded again, her eyes were already starting to lose focus. Her body could no longer withstand such a heavy blow. "Master!" Xiao He cried out in alarm. This time it was really over. The third elder also sensed Bailey Hongzhuang's situation, and a smug smile appeared on his face. "She's going to play herself to death this time, isn't she?" He walked forward unhurriedly. This girl had indeed exceeded his expectations. It was not easy for her to escape from his clutches for so long. No wonder she had the guts to attack the resource vault. However, this was not enough. Chapter 74-89. Third Elder's expression was calm. Based on his judgment, this woman should have quite a lot of cultivation resources on her. Although some of his companions had escaped, based on the Qing family's strength, none of them should have been able to escape. When the time comes, as long as he could retrieve all these cultivation resources, even if there were some problems, he would not be punished too severely. At most, he would be reprimanded a little. It was nothing. Just as Third Elder was getting closer and closer to Bailey Hongzhuang, suddenly, a shocking explosion rang out. Boom! Due to the explosion, the Third Elder was also sent flying, and the flesh on his chest had exploded. Damn it! Third Elder cursed as he looked at his injuries. He did not think that this girl would have the guts to set up such a trap before she died. Fortunately, although the explosion had happened very close to him, his body had been tempered so he did not fall into a coma like the other two fellows. The inner energy in his body surged and his injuries began to heal. A mere first-level cultivator could actually injure him. This in itself was a disgrace. However, when he realized that Bailey Hongzhuang's aura had disappeared without him noticing, his expression changed abruptly. Mental strength spread out in all directions. After confirming that Bailey Hongzhuang's aura was indeed gone, he was in disbelief. How can this be? This girl was clearly nearby. Even if there had been an explosion, it would have happened in the blink of an eye. How could she have disappeared just like that? Third Elder could not care less about his injuries as he quickly searched around the area. "Male Master, why are you here?" Xiao Hei was pleasantly surprised to see Di Beichen suddenly appear. She immediately felt relieved. I'm worried about Hong Zhuang. Di Beichen had already sent Bailey Hong Zhuang back into the Chaos Ring. He said, leave this place to me. You should return to the Chaos Ring too. Xiao Hei did not return immediately. She could not help but say, Third Elder might not be able to find us after digging this tunnel. But as long as he looks carefully, he will be able to find us. Even if they all hid in the Chaos Ring, once the ring was discovered, the situation would be even worse. I understand. Di Beichen's expression was calm and serious. He's searching for us by locking onto our auras. Although the spiritual power of a fourth-rank immortal can penetrate very far, as long as we go deep enough, he won't be able to find us. As long as we dig a tunnel and leave, we can escape his pursuit. Really? Why would I lie to you? Di Beichen chuckled. Let's go back and heal first. Ziren and Shangguan Yingying had been worried about the situation of Di Beichen and the others. They also knew about the robbery, but there was no news after so long. It was inevitable that they would be worried. Suddenly, they saw the unconscious Bailey Hongzhuang. After seeing her injuries, Shangguan Yingying couldn't help but cover her mouth as tears welled up in her eyes. What's wrong with Hongzhuang? He actually suffered such a serious injury. Xiao Hei was also lying on the ground. It had helped its master to withstand a few attacks earlier, so its injuries were not serious. Beichen, what's going on? Without waiting for Wen Ziren to understand the situation, Di Beichen had already dragged him out. Don't ask so many questions. We're in danger now. I'll leave the task of digging the tunnel to you. Digging the tunnel? Ziren realized that it was pitch black the moment he came out. He took a closer look. Weren't they underground? Chapter 74-90. Keep digging deeper, then keep digging forward. In short, keep digging, don't stop. Di Beichen reminded her, use all your strength. We are being chased by a level 4 immortal. We can't afford to waste any time. I'll come to you after I heal myself. After saying this, Di Beichen returned to the Chaos Ring. He was also injured when he was being chased. However, Bailey Hongzhuang was the main target, so her injuries were the most serious. When he returned to the Chaos Ring, he saw Shangguan Yingying carefully treating Bailey Hongzhuang's injuries. Blood, clothes, and broken flesh had been mixed together. She felt an indescribable pain when she was dealing with all this. However, Bailey Hongzhuang had fallen into a deep coma. She didn't even react to such pain. How could this be? Shangguan Yingying couldn't help but ask. The Qing devil suddenly woke up and sent all his people to hunt us down. Our breaths have all been locked. Hearing this, Shangguan Yingying's eyes were full of hatred. The Qing devil. Sooner or later, we'll kill this guy. Di Beichen carefully checked Bailey Hongzhuang's condition. His handsome eyes were also full of distress. Her injuries were so serious that almost all her flesh was broken. Fortunately, he noticed that although Hongzhuang's breaths were weak, they were gradually recovering. At the same time, Shangguan Yingying also said, Beichen, look. Hongzhuang's body is gradually recovering. Her broken flesh was wriggling little by little and gradually recovering. Hongzhuang took a lot of natural treasures before. These energies must be helping her to recover. Di Beichen breathed a sigh of relief. She had taken so many natural treasures before that she couldn't take full effect in a short period of time. Now that she was seriously injured and in a deep coma, the effects of these natural treasures were all revealed. That's good. Shangguan Yingying was pleasantly surprised. You should also heal quickly. Your injuries aren't light either. Di Beichen immediately sat down to recuperate. Now, he had given the task to Ziren, but the third elder was not stupid. He was afraid that it would not be long before he discovered the clues. Once they caught up, Ziren's speed would not be enough. Di Beichen quickly went out after taking the healing medicine and swallowing a lot of heavenly and earthly treasures. If anyone else was here, they would know how much Bachin and the others had wasted. Normally, it would be extremely difficult to obtain such precious cultivation resources, but now, he was stuffing them all into his mouth without a care. Bachin, you're out so soon? When Zyron looked at Bachin, who had come out in the blink of an eye, he was a little surprised. This shovel was very convenient when I was digging the spirit-devouring mine. Now, I find it even more convenient to dig a tunnel. When Zyron sighed, digging by hand was naturally slower, so he took out the shovel that he had used to mine. When he used it, he immediately realized that it was a great weapon. Bachin also took out the shovel and dug in the other direction without hesitation. Seeing this, Zyron could not help but ask, "Why are you digging in that direction? If that old man comes directly along this passage, how can we dig a tunnel compared to him coming directly? Making a few forks can also waste some of his time." "That's right. You're really smart," Zyron praised. "Then I'll continue digging." The two of them dug the tunnel as fast as they could. Bachin also dug some forks into the ground. In this way, it would be even more difficult for the other party to find them. Chapter 74-91. After Third Elder had recovered from his initial bewilderment, he scanned his surroundings. No one could disappear into thin air. The reason why they had disappeared must be because they had thought of a way to leave. He was very certain of this. After looking around for a while, he finally returned to the hole that was blown up. Upon closer inspection, he realized that there was another world below. This fellow had actually dug a tunnel. Third Elder had found the location of the tunnel. No wonder he had not been able to detect the girl's aura. She had run underground. The soil had the effect of isolating mental energy. As long as it was deep enough, he would not be able to detect it. As it turned out, the previous explosion was not only to injure him. More importantly, it was to conceal the location of the tunnel. This kind of smokescreen, if one was not careful enough, they would not be able to discover it. He had actually been made a fool of by this girl once again. His chest was burning with rage. He had already been made a fool of by this girl twice today. In the next moment, he quickly dashed into the tunnel. Even if he had spent a little more time looking for the entrance, he did not believe that this girl's digging speed would be faster than his speed of chasing after her. Furthermore, that girl was already seriously injured. This digging of the tunnel was probably the work of her contracted beast. Third Elder had thought that he would be able to catch up to Bailey Hongzhuang very quickly. However, when he realized that he had not sensed Bailey Hongzhuang's aura even after a long time, his expression turned extremely ugly. This tunnel was too long. It was longer than he had expected. Could it be that the girl's serious injuries were all an act? Third Elder's face was filled with suspicion. If she had really suffered such serious injuries, there was no reason for her to dig so far. Most importantly, he had not sensed the girl's aura at all. As long as I follow this tunnel, do you think I won't be able to find her? Third Elder scoffed coldly and increased his speed to the maximum. The other party was only one man and one beast. Digging tunnels had always been inferior in comparison. However, when he realized that the tunnel had branched out, his expression turned extremely strange. Could it be that this man and beast were groundhogs? Their digging speed was actually so fast. Not only had they dug such a long tunnel, they had even branched out. Most importantly, even the branching out was so long. After encountering several branching paths, Third Elder could not help but admit that he had lost her. That girl had disappeared into the tunnel just like that. Zyron dug the tunnel with all his might. When he thought of the fact that there was a Tier 4 immortal chasing after him, he used all his strength. Hongzhuang and Bachin were both seriously injured. If they caught up with him, wouldn't that be a dead end? Thinking of this, his speed exploded. He used all of his mining abilities. Even Bachin was stunned by this guy's mining speed. In the past, he had never discovered Zyron's talent. Now, He realized that this guy's greatest talent was actually mining. This speed was even faster than his. As Zyron dug, he felt more and more energetic. It was as if there was an inexhaustible amount of energy in his body. Suddenly, he felt as if his entire spirit had changed. Bachin stopped digging and looked in front of him in astonishment. Zyron had dug and dug and dug. And dug until he broke through? Zyron saw the sudden change in himself. At first, he was at a loss. However, he quickly realized that he had broken through. Bachin, I actually broke through. Zyron looked at his hands in surprise. He had always hoped to break through as soon as possible but had not succeeded. He did not expect that he would break through now. It was really an unexpected surprise.